Awesome. Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on the workforce training grants. My name is Rachel Gillis. I am the Senior Marketing and Business Development Coordinator here at AIM HR Solutions. We help businesses with tailored HR support and training, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Kristy, who I will let introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kristy Grignon, Senior Director of Business Development at MassMEP, also known as the Massachusetts Manufacturing Extension Partnership, and we're happy to have you all here.
Awesome. Yes, no, we're very excited. So feel free to utilize the chat, ask any questions. We will have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. And just to let you know, the webinar will be recorded and the slides will be shared afterwards. So you'll have access to everything we talk about today. So moving along, a brief overview of the program. There's two types of training grants. There's the Express Grant and the General Grant. The Express Grant is eligible to Massachusetts employers with 100 or fewer employees, while the General Grant is open to any size Massachusetts employer. Kristy will be going more in depth on the General Grant shortly. These are state grants, so they're funded by the Massachusetts Employers Unemployment Insurance. We'd like to say that this is your money, so we do encourage companies taking advantage of it. The funding isn't intended to be used to replace required on-the-job training. It's designed to upskill and further develop your workforce. So who is eligible for the grants? To be considered eligible, applicants must contribute into the Massachusetts Unemployment Insurance. So all for-profit companies are eligible, plus nonprofits who make regular quarterly UI payments. Those who are not eligible are federal, state, or municipal government roles, as well as nonprofits who make unemployment insurance payments using the reimbursement method. So they would not be eligible for either the express or general. Another note is only Massachusetts W-2 payroll employees are eligible to participate in training. You have to be in compliance with all state agencies. There is two documents required for both applications. So there's the good standings from the Department of Revenue and the certificate of compliance, which is from the DUA. I would like to note that accessing those two documents is easy, only takes a few minutes, and we'll get into that shortly too. Employees must also be paid regular wages as they go through training, so that's something to be mindful of when you're planning your training. There are a few updates for 2025. So there is a new requirement for both the general and the express grant, and that is the certificate of compliance from the Department of Unemployment Assistance. Thankfully, our friends at MassMEP created a step-by-step video to access this. It only takes a few minutes and it's an instant download as long as you're in compliance. Something to note, it does expire after 30 days. So when you do receive it, have a plan, anticipate utilizing that on your application sooner than later. And then on the right, we do have our current application statuses. So as of right now, the Express Grant, General Grant, and the Consortium Grant applications are now open. So all applications are accessible. So jumping straight into the Express program. So the Express program, it's designed to help businesses under 100 Massachusetts employees respond quickly to training needs and keep employees engaged. So it is really a great, quick training solution for companies that are eligible. So that leads me into who is eligible. There are two eligibility requirements for the Express Grant. So your company must pay into Massachusetts unemployment insurance, which we talked about, and you must have 100 or fewer Massachusetts W-2 employees. So from there, there are two levels of reimbursement once you are eligible. So companies with 1 to 50 Massachusetts employees receive up to 100% reimbursement, while companies 51 to 100 Massachusetts employees receive 50% reimbursement. So leading into the funding, it is reimbursable up to $15,000 per company per calendar year, and the grant covers $3,000 per person per course. There are a few materials required for the application, and I don't want a list to scare anybody away. There is a certificate of compliance that's required and the certificate of good standings. Both are quick, easy documents to access within a few minutes. as I mentioned previously, we have a link that walks you through it. Um, and then the rest of the information, the FEIN number, signed W-9, your number of Massachusetts W-2 employees, and the training that you want to conduct would all also need to be gathered, but a lot of that is on hand that you already have. So, sharing a quick step-by-step directions on how to access this money. Your first step is one, picking a course. There's a directory on the Express Grant website that provides a list of grant-approved trainings. Being mindful that MassMEP and MHR Solutions also offer training options, and we offer support to help determine what training best aligns for your needs at your company and how to make the most of your funds. Um, so the next step would be gathering materials, which was listed on the previous slide and is listed on here. So you'll schedule training with the provider, receive your certificate of good standings, compliance, and a filled out W-9. So once you have all of that ready to go, you can apply for the funding. So when you submit your application, you should apply at least 21 days in advance before a training start date. And the online application is really straightforward. It takes about 15 minutes to complete. I think when people hear a grant application, they do get scared. Being mindful that this is a very straightforward application, and we also offer one-on-one support to walk you through it, so you're not alone. And number 4, so once you've been approved, you'll accept your award and sign your service agreement. And then 5, you're ready to conduct your training now. So the process is that you'll pay your training provider and participate in the training. And your training grant period is tailored to you, and it's included on your application and your service agreement. And then number 6, after you finish your training, we will work with you to gather your proof of payment and your roster of attendees so that you can request your reimbursement. And that's really it. If there aren't any initial questions, like I said, we'll have plenty of time at the end to address questions. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it over to Kristy, who will chat about the general grant.
Rachel, I'm sorry. May I just interrupt real quick? I do have
Of
a
course.
question before we actually go too far.
Yes.
With the materials that are gathered with the application, is I, I used to get this every year, and I've only ever had to submit the certificate of good standing. So are the other compliance documents in the W-9, are those something that have been added on in the past year or two?
Let me go back. So the certificate of compliance is new as of when the grant opened last month.
Got it.
So certificate of compliance, that one's definitely going to be new for you. Good standings, like you said, has been a part of it. FEIN number, signed W-9, and the number of employees needed, those have been a part of it for quite a while. Kristy might also have a thought on it, but the signed W-9, I think with this new application starting in July, has been requested that it's dated within the last year. So that's the only new piece because they will ask you on the application to fill out the date that's on it.
Hmm.
Before the application closed in April, they didn't ask for the date on the W-9. So that
Got it.
might also be why it might be flagging as new for you, but certificate of compliance is the only new form.
Yeah, it's been, I think, 2 years since we've applied for it, but I just looked back at my folder and I saw that we only had submitted the certificate of good standing, but I don't remember what the application completely was. So thank you. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one that had that question.
Rachel, we have another question on the Express Grant. Can you employee choose their own course?
Yeah, so your employee could, if there is training needs that you think that they would fit best, absolutely. There isn't required training that you need to include on your application. There is, I mentioned, a directory, so you can go through hundreds of training options. MassMEP, Kristy's team, and our team offer training, so you're welcome to go through our training catalogs and websites as well. But yes, choosing the training to your employer. And if there's no other questions, I will bring up Kristy's slide.
All right, so my dog has impeccable timing. Right as Rachel went to this slide, she started barking. She's not now, so I'm hoping she stays quiet for the next 5 minutes. But general grants, so they just opened up. It's a new application form. They say new and improved. and it is new right now. It is going to be improved, I'm sure, when they get through all the little bugs that you go through as a developer. So there are a couple of challenges right now with the budget form being uploaded and with the match being made. Happy to walk you through it, and happy the team at ComCorp is amazing in walking you through it as well. We were on the phone with them yesterday. So reach out to ComCorp if you have any questions, but reach out to AIM and MassMEP if you have any questions. That being said, general grant, who can apply? A company of any size in any industry in Massachusetts, as long as, going back to what Rachel said, you're paying your unemployment tax. It can be for current and newly hired employees as long as they are a W-2 employee. What training is funded? Really, anything that is going to lead to job retention, growth, or higher wages. They are going to ask you that question as to how many jobs are you creating, retaining, and who's getting promotions or wage increases. Productivity and competitiveness, and enhanced ability to do business in Massachusetts. Award and competition, these grants have become highly competitive. During COVID, it really was anybody who applied received it. It is not the case anymore. You have to make a case in the narrative as to why this is important to your company, how it's going to advance your employees, and what the career pathways look like for them. The funding is case by case, and you see very competitive. Again, this comes directly from ComCorp's website. So they might come to you and say, yes, we're going to fund this, and no, we're not going to fund this. They also want to see that companies they have skin in the game, that this training is not being covered wholly by the Workforce Training Fund, but also by the company. And focus on training that is supplemental and not replacement. Things like OSHA, things that are basic training, onboarding are not going to be covered under the general grant. We can go to the next slide. There we go. So purpose, fund business training for current and new employees, boost productivity and competitiveness. What's expected, the supplemental training plus a commitment to private investment during and after the grant. So they don't want to just see that you're training them during the grant period. They want to see that this is going to continue afterwards. It is a 2-year long grant, which I'm probably jumping ahead on slides. But after you've completed the grant and you've closed it out, there is a 1-year waiting period until you can apply again. That is that time period in which they want to see you're continuing to train your employees. Funding priorities, training leads to job retention, growth, higher wages, programs improving company productivity and competitiveness. Here in Massachusetts, the employees have to be Massachusetts employees. You could have 80 employees here and 20 somewhere else. We can only train the 80 employees that you have here in Massachusetts. And again, full-time or part-time staff. In general, grant program, highly competitive, case-by-case awards. You see the same thing over and over again. Competitive, case-by-case. They want to get that across. So we said any mass employer, any size, but I want to just sit on this for a quick second because what you saw in Rachel's slides with the $3,000 per employee stands true for the general grant as well. So if you are a company that only has 10 employees and you're going to train 8 out of your 10 employees, you can only apply for up to $24,000 for the workforce training funds. So I just want to say, yes, it is for employers of any size, but you really want to think about it. Does it make sense for your small company, or does it make sense to just have an express grant? You cannot have an express grant and a general grant open at the same time. So you do want to make that differentiation. And we got these questions actually during registration too. It is reimbursable for nonprofits. So as long as you're a nonprofit that's paying your unemployment taxes, you are eligible. We also got questions about high school students. Is if they are a W-2 employee and their employer is willing to put that training under them, then they would be accepted. But if they are just a high school student, they would not be able to participate in this. Requirement documentations are the same as they are with the Express grant. So if you've done an Express grant, you have everything that you need to move forward. You probably just have to update that new compliance form that takes about 2.5 minutes and it's good for 30 days. And in addition to that, just a little tip here that we've been talking about, all documents must be current and match business name and FEIN numbers. Consortiums, each business must provide all certificates, and we'll talk about consortiums in 1 second. Funding timing, request, so you can request no less than 10,000, no more than 125,000. It is a rolling application while funds last. Last year, the funds ran out in April, so we are just getting them back now in July, and the project needs to be completed within 2 years or less. If you close it out a year after you open it, your 1 year waiting period starts then. Matching in use, it is a 1-to-1 match requirement. So the match is by salaries. So if you have a $300 an hour training, you have to have $300 an hour of salaries to match that training. Otherwise, they're not going to cover you to the full amount. Funds must add new training capacity, not replace private dollars. Use for training that wouldn't otherwise happen. Like I shared with you before, OSHA is a requirement for a lot of manufacturers. Onboarding training is a requirement for a lot of manufacturers. It cannot be required. Also, safety has been said that it is a requirement for manufacturers, so it's not accepted for training under this. Training guidelines must be on company time. So this one's really important. It can't be after hours from 8 to 10 at night. It has to be while they're being paid during their regular work hours. It covers the instruction costs for the training fees. So that's no materials, that's no mileage or anything of that nature. And focus on broad employee inclusion, not just leadership. This happened to MassMEP. We had a lot of leadership training. We actually got denied the general grant because they wanted across the entire organization. Application tips, you choose and vet trainers and monitor their quality. Seek multiple trainer bids for best pricing. And we'll talk about the consortiums, I think, right now. So consortium grants, what they say on their website is 2 or more employers collaborate on a shared training. We strongly recommend that you go with at least 5 companies. Reason being, you can have a general grant and a consortium grant at the same time, not to exceed $125,000. But you can't be more than 30% of the consortium grant. If you're more than 30%, you cannot apply for your own general grant. So although this is what it says on the website, we would strongly urge you to get to at least 5 companies as part of a consortium grant. Who can lead the application? An employer that's participating in the training can, a nonprofit, something like the Mass Hires or the chambers, community colleges, other labor organizations can lead a consortium grant. Lead applicants' responsibilities is contracts. We the lead contract with ComCorp, but we have all of your information, your certificates, everything that you would need for your own grant still have to go into it, and we do all the reporting. And if you're the lead, but not the trainer. So as MassMEP, we're the lead and the trainer on a lot of consortium grants. So we can't ask for 10% of the admin costs. But if you are just leading it and not the trainer, you can ask ComCorp for 10% for training costs for your administrative work. The other part with this is all general grants, you get 25% of the funds up front to pay for the training up front. If you are the lead on the consortium and the trainer, you do not get 25% up front. You have to do it as a reimbursement. And I think that's all I have, but I'm happy to take any questions. All right. I think we're good here.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Gotta love it, 2025. There were a couple questions in the chat that I think, Kristy, you did a great job of already answering. Bonnie had asked about closing out the grant. In June, she will have to wait 1 year for that to be eligible again. And I think some of the rest of the ones that we can save towards the end. So I think that we can move on.
Yeah, I would just say on that 1 year period of closing it out, if you're an employer that has 100 or less employees, you can apply for an express grant during that 1 year period.
Mhm.
And there's also, it's the bridge grant. So if you're doing ESOL during that 1 year period, you can apply for a bridge grant for ESOL training up to $100,000. So there is eligibility during that 1 year waiting period. It's just not a regular general grant.
Awesome. So our next slide, Kristy, do you want to talk about
Yeah.
MassMEP's training?
So these are just throughout some of the training opportunities that we have with MassMEP. I went with our kind of our top 10 solutions, but we do have over 240 trainings that are in the Workforce Training Fund. You can access that through the Express Grant portal and take a look at all of our trainings. You can reach out to me or a business development advisor also to go through them. We just didn't want to confuse everybody by putting them all up here. So here are just a few of the highlights.
Awesome. And then AIM-HR Solutions also offers training. We have over 70 plus training sessions that are all grant eligible. We cover compliance, HR, supervisor management and development, customer service, leadership, communication, and more. We do offer training publicly where your employees would be joined by other individuals from other organizations virtually, or we do offer private training just for your company where we can come on site or offer it virtually just for your employees. Some of our most popular trainings are our harassment and discrimination and our supervisor essentials series. And you're more than welcome to learn more about our training and our interactive catalog, which is linked here at the bottom, and you can visit that once we send out the slides.
And then just to close it out, so appreciate everybody taking the time today. We wanted to make sure that we were succinct and we got through it in a timely manner. So here's our contact information. If you have any interest or any questions, or you want to reach out to myself or Rachel, please feel free to do so. But we do still have 7 minutes left. So we're happy to open it up to all of you if there's any particular questions that you have.
Could you tell me if this is available to seasonal businesses?
As
Thank
long, you go ahead, Rachel.
No. I was going to say thank you, Mary. I saw your question. There were some that I was just saving towards the end, so I didn't not see it. But Kristy, go ahead. I'll let you go.
So for seasonal businesses, yes, as long as you have W-2 employees and you're paying into your unemployment tax.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just scrolling back to the top to see if we're missing any. Nikki had asked, does the grant cover certifying employees in a program, for example, Pro SCI change management, and subsequent covers the cost per seat for training every Massachusetts employee in this program? So depending on how many employees you have and whether you're looking at the Express or General grant, if there is training listed in the Express directory that is grant eligible, that should be eligible, and that cost, depending on the structure of the grant you're using, should be covered, and it's a per trainee rate. That should be fine. And Kristy, if I'm missing anything.
No, I think that actually brings up a good differentiator between the Express and the General, though. The Express is very much a candid training that we submit what the training is going to be, and what it is listed is what it is. General grant does not need to be pre-approved like it does in the Express grant. So you can write more in different trainings into the Express grant. I mean, excuse me, into the General grant. You can write more training into the General grant.
Thanks, Kristy. And it was also talked about as resources for helping with applications. Kristy's team is awesome with General and Express. Our team is also great for both. So you can see our contact information on the screen. We help walk through eligibility questions, training recommendations if you're not sure where to start. The directory can be overwhelming. So we are a great starting point in showing you how to access that, support questions, the application itself, reimbursement questions. So feel free to utilize myself and Kristy for a resource as well for that. Anything at the beginning. Jennifer asked if we missed anything at the beginning. Will we have access to these slides later? Jillian answered, yes, we will be sending out a recording and the slides afterwards. Charles had asked, the ADA has legal obligations, but training on disability and social justice amplifies organizational and staff competencies / customer service covered by grant. If it's legal obligations, Kristy, do you think through the ADA?
If it's a legal obligation, then it's training that you have to do, so it would not be covered by the grant. If it's anything that it is a have to, it's a no.
Mm-hmm.
That goes for things like if you're buying software and there's training that you need for that software, that would not be eligible through the grant as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, great point. Somebody else asked, Express Grant is not for employers more than 100 employees, correct? And that is correct. The Express Grant is eligible to companies with 100 or less Massachusetts employees. And then there is the two-tier breakdown. If you have one to 50 employees, you get 100% reimbursement, while if you have 51 to 100, you get 50% reimbursement. Do you notify employers about consortium grants?
So when MassMEP puts together a consortium, we actually do info sessions across the state to ask if you would like to participate in a consortium grant. We then gather the companies with a letter of commitment, and that is necessary. You have to have a letter of commitment to go into the consortium grant. We then apply. Once we have applied and we've been awarded, we outreach back to the companies that, yes, you have been awarded, and have a kickoff meeting to get things going.
Mm-hmm. And then a next question, anti-bias training would be covered. Yes, that would be covered. AMHR Solutions offers unconscious bias training as well, if that's something that you're interested in. But yes, that would be covered. Another question, is there a listing of training that is not covered? There isn't a direct list of training that isn't covered, but topics like Kristy had mentioned, anything that is required on the job training, replacing legal training, that wouldn't be covered. So anything upskilling your employees, developing them, that should be covered. And for the Express Grant, there is a directory to choose from grant eligible training. MassMEP's training's on there. AMHR Solutions training is on there. The general grant does not have a directory. You are responsible for vetting and maintaining that provider relationship to make sure that that is a good fit. Both of our companies do offer training that is eligible to put on the grant as well. Amy had another question. She said, if I'm looking for specific types of training, are there other places to look other than MassMEP and AIM, perhaps sales and cybersecurity training? As we mentioned, actually answering the other question, there is a directory that you can go through and look through and determine if there is computer skills training that would be helpful, sales. We're just one of the or two of the few providers that are on the list.
Yeah, and I would even share too that if it's not there and you want it to be there, reach out to the training provider. They can get on as an approved vendor themselves.
Yeah, that's a great point. Bonnie had a question, Kristy, this would be a good one for you. What are some examples of consortium grants, i.e. topics?
Yeah, so I can give you some of ours that we've had in the past and have now. Frontline Supervisory Apprenticeship Program is one of the consortiums that we put together. It's usually about 7 to 10 companies that join that, with 1 to 2 participating. We've done marketing and sales consortiums. We've done Lean Six Sigma, Greenbelt consortiums. We've done just straight Lean consortiums for the shop floor. So really, sky's the limit. If people have an idea, we're happy to do it. We've done ISO consortiums before in the past as well.
Thanks, Kristy. I'm just checking the chat. I think that we've answered everybody's questions and we are a little over our time. But if there's any questions that we didn't answer that you have questions on, or you're looking for guidance, next steps, absolutely reach out to Kristy or myself, and we'd be happy to provide that one-on-one support to you. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining and
Thank
have
you
a
very
great day.
much. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.